right, it's time to catch everybody up here. Florida State has got some signees in the house this weekend, really attending to the defensive side of the football. And we'll talk first here with Michael Langston, senior portal analyst, about linebackers. Florida State lands 2 on Friday afternoon. It was announced that North Carolina linebacker Caleb LaVallee was transferring to Florida State. And then on Sunday, Elijah Herring. We'll speak on Elijah in just a moment. Michael, LaVallee entered into the portal, a little while ago, but it seemed like after that bowl game, they played in the Fenway Bowl, I believe it was, against UConn, that this thing might be trending to Florida State. It might be pretty fast. Tell me about this recruitment and what Florida State gets in here. Any younger transfer? This is a player who's going to be a redshirt sophomore in 2025.
Yeah, I think when his name popped in there, I'm like, okay, that's intriguing because I knew that there was a previous history there, and then I got did some digging, and you felt like, hey, this thing's going to go quicker than most of these do. It's really just about meeting the coaches, and I think once he experienced all that stuff, and I think usually when you get to that point, it's about as long as the kid feels like they're a priority. I think it kind of moves pretty quickly, and I think certainly it did that with a guy like Caleb, very good tackler in space, a guy that's just a tackle machine, just all the field. He really tackles well around, and that's certainly been an issue with FSU's defense at times of tackling, and I think he adds a lot to that with his quickness, and he's not going to be asked to like cover like guys like crazy like outside linebacker type stuff all the time. So I think it's really just his tackling and big playability is what really attracted them to him. And he seems to be a guy that was starting to really heat up at North Carolina, playing that bowl game, led the team with 9 tackles. A guy that they know really well, and I'm a big believer in that, Tom. Always of when you previous evaluate a guy that you were sold on, you offered. Nearly committed to FSU the first time at a high school, but then North Carolina was more of an attractive situation for him at that time and decided to go there, and then now he's back.
And his brother, of course, is somebody that Florida State is after a couple of cycles from now. But this is, again, yeah, you're right, Michael. In the bowl game, that was his first real action in college football. He had 9 tackles, 14 overall for the season. But a younger player that Florida State enters in the fold, 6'1", 225 pounds. If you're just looking for a size idea, 6'1", 225. That sounds more interior-ish. We'll see, though, in the 3-3-5 scheme. That's going to be very fascinating to follow. Then Florida State gets a veteran now, somebody a little bit more experienced, 37 games of experience with Memphis and Tennessee in Elijah Herring. 6'2", 230 pounds, Michael. This is a player that has played at the power level and played against power competition. He was in Tallahassee just this last year with Memphis. Big-time production coming to town for Florida State.
Yeah, that one to me was the one that I circled. That, man, if they could get this kid production-wise, this kind of fits everything. Guy that can play all around a lot of different places. If you watch him, they'll move him to outside linebacker, they'll move him do inside stuff, but he can do a little bit of both. And just production out of the wazoo when you watch this guy, whether it's pass breakups, forced fumbles, sacks, or it definitely tackles. He is always around the ball. That's the thing you notice certainly about Elijah Herring. I was actually chatting with Matt, and Matt's like, yeah, I wanted him to get him the first time, so finally they're going to get him this time. But I think overall, that's what you kind of look for is you want to get a productive guy. That is this guy going to shift the needle with our linebacker room? I think these two guys, especially Herring, I think it definitely shifts the needle when I watch him play and just the different ways that he's involved in the defense.
Yeah, now, Michael, that's 3 linebackers that Florida State has at the moment. If we're just talking about transfer portal players, because it started with Nebraska transfer Stephon Thompson, and that's a wonderful asset to have. He does have experience playing, but then also knowledge of the scheme, knowledge of what is being asked to go along with these 2 new signees in the last 48 hours in LaVallee and Herring. I want to get your opinion on John Papuchis, who's now the position coach for Florida State at linebacker. And, of course, Ernie Sims was elevated to a higher level than just simply an analyst. He's going to be working with the linebackers as well. Any sense you got, being around campus, being around Moore Center and seeing some of these kids come and go, about just the recruiting approach, because again, we're so used to John Papuchis being the defensive ends coach specifically, as well as special teams coordinator, but he's got a new role, Randy Shannon out, and now John Papuchis in.
Yeah, I think a big relationship guy, and certainly JP's had a lot of solid pickups through his time, whether he was the defensive end. So I think that makes a lot of sense when you see that move. The way he connects with players is really good. Seen that a lot, both from a player standpoint and just a recruit standpoint. And I've seen and then just watch the interaction between a lot of these of how he is with these players is very personable. A lot of the staff is, but I think you have to have a special connection, and he has a way of bringing that out. So I think certainly it isn't surprise that they were able to move pretty quickly with these. I think with Elijah Herring, that's probably the first time I've seen where FSU reported it before Hayes Fawcett or anybody else said anything.
Right.
So that was interesting. But he's a quiet kid. He's not a kid that talks a lot, so I wasn't really shocked with that. But obviously, the talent in general, what you're going to get, and the stuff I had heard inside the visit of just what people had told me, like the way he connects with just different people on the staff and around FSU. I think you kind of felt like this was going to be a marriage that certainly that they both sides were very, very comfortable with each other. And I think early on, FSU was going to get a visit from him. Then they kind of pushed it back a little bit, and then they're like, you know what, this is the guy, we really want. We got to get this guy in for a visit. I think they were still going to bring him in for a visit. I think it's just kind of, you don't want to have too many linebackers at the same time on a visit. So
Yep.
I think that's a lot of what that is. But I think Herring was very, coveted by FSU from the start and was originally going to go to Cal. But I don't think he made that visit since he committed the next day. So I think overall linebacker group, Stephon Thompson as well, nailed it. They nailed everything that I wanted and I was looking for. You needed to build stuff around the other pieces that you already have on the team that are nice and young, and some of them not young like Drew Squire, but just build it around each other and how it meshes with all each other. And I think, man, you look at on paper, this is looking like a pretty nice group.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're done at that position. I'll get your answer on that. Yep. Okay. So if you just take a look at Florida State's two deep, if you want to, projected, starters, reserves, however you want. You got your three new guys in Thompson, LaVallee, and Herring. Then Omar Graham Jr., who dipped his toe in the water for like a second in the portal. He decided to come back. Blake Nicholson is back again next year. And, of course, Justin Cryer. Departing from the program, Cam Riley only had 1 year left. So did DJ Lundy. Sean Murphy transferred out the door, and I believe DeMarco Ward did the same. So these are the six that you have in addition to some maybe the true freshmen that you got coming in out of this particular 2025 class. They should be done, though. It's a 3-3-5, Michael, but we think they're all set at that particular position.
They are, and what I love about this is now Caleb's kind of a lesser of this, but I think they valued production. I think they valued, like, they wanted to bring in guys that weren't going to really cause a stir with maybe if you get a younger guy and he's coming in and you don't know how they're going to mesh with each other. But I think the big thing was two of the guys are pretty solidly productive, and that's my big takeaway is you want somebody that you can insert there, and you know what, I'm going to feel good because they've been in that type of scheme and they're going to be fine. And so I think that's the other thing that I liked a lot is the production that they've really focused on from this linebacker position.
There'll be a partner video that goes out with this one where we're talking about the defensive line additions for Florida State. So stay tuned to Warchant TV for that. And for all the news, ad drop ends at Florida State on Thursday. They still have some work to do, and Thursday being January the 9th. Please stay tuned here to warchant.com and Warchant TV for all the latest. Hit the like button underneath the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. And then be sure to head over to warchant.com and the premium recruiting board. It's not just for high school recruiting anymore these days. It's for the portal. And Michael Langston has it covered there. Michael, thank you very much for your time as always, man.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll catch you all next time right here on Warchant TV.